Jules, so on Monday, I asked, we said we are going to do percentages now that they've played the same number of games.
Yeah.
So for a reminder, they've both played 25 games. There's 13 games to go.
Yeah.
The Marcotti rule of thumb is that you're in trouble when you have to make up more than 1 point a game. I think. I don't know if this is proven statistically, but, So
that's
13 games, plenty of time. You got the head-to-head.
Yeah.
Assuming City win the head-to-head, which is a big assumption, but, you can control that.
Yeah.
If you're Pep, you're not sweating this, are you?
No, it would be 2 points in 12 games then, if you
which you can easily make up. You can make that one weekend.
That's why I think the percentage is 55-45 for Arsenal. They're 5 points clear right now with 13 games to go, so they have to be the favourite. You could go 51-49, you could go 50-50, but I think that's a bit unfair on Arsenal considering how well they've played. They lost to City and United, and then the Everton game away was, as we saw last night, was not a fluke, but it was a game where they clearly didn't respond, they didn't turn up. It can happen in a season. City had also those kind of games where they didn't perform like they should have, and you lose or you draw. So that's fair. But I think it's right now to have Arsenal favourite. You can't say 80-20, that would be stupid. Even 60-40, I think is maybe a little bit too much for Arsenal. But I think 55-45 is a great representation of where we are in the season.
So I'm going to say it's 50-50 or closer to 50-50 for the simple reason that while Arsenal have answered pretty much most of the challenges they've come back, you're going to have dips, you're going to have individual games. Equally, this is a very young team. This is a manager who's not been in that situation. And it's one of those things that old journalists like me say, experience matters, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, don't underestimate the experience from last season and missing out on that fourth place, which was like a final, it was a title race for them, that fourth place.
That's a really good point.
I think they would have learned a lot from that.
Yeah, and I don't think it's necessarily the jitters or the pressure that you feel when you're going for a title, because this was their title last year, right?
It was.
Going for that fourth place. But equally, we talk to football people, and to different degrees, they all say, you need winners, winning mentality, experience, blah, blah, blah. There's no question City are full of winners. I don't think Erling Haaland's won much other than at Salzburg, but other than that, most of the team been there, done that, a T-shirt. Arsenal, if I go back and I say, we've done this before, but who's won stuff? We said Jorginho has, Zinchenko. Thomas Partey has, and obviously Zinchenko and Jesus have. But beyond that, unless we want to count, things that Odegaard might have won at Real Madrid or, watching from the B team, I am curious to see to what degree that factors in. I think this is a test. I think if Arsenal do this, I think we can say that, this quality is very much overrated. This idea of having winners, winning mentality. So that's why I'm saying that theory hasn't been disproven yet, and it might not be disproven in one season, but that's why I'm going closer to 50-50. The other thing, though, that I would have thought would have given, until recently, I said would have given City the edge, is this issue of depth, right? For all their money, City just don't have as many bodies. I talked about this last year when, they lost Torres and Mendy and didn't replace them. And, he rotates a lot because that's what he does, but he does not have a super deep bench.
Now you've lost Cancelo.
And they've lost Cancelo as well. And weirdly, the rotation means that people like Julien Alvarez, might be like, why am I not playing more? But I look at this now and I wonder, with Trossard, Kivior, who we haven't seen yet,
played with the under-21 really well on Monday night. Really, really well. But again, it's a reserve game.
I don't watch Arsenal under-21.
No, but I'm telling you, the passing was great.
And Georgie now, I wonder, has that depth advantage that City have, has that rebalanced a little bit?
Yeah, I think so. A little bit. It'd be interesting to see what choices Arteta makes once Gabriel Jesus is fully fit and back. Who do you play up front? What kind of rotation you have?
If any, because he's not big on the rotation.
No, but at least you'll have Martinelli, Trossard, Gabriel Jesus, Saka, and Nketiah, Smith Rowe. Some will play in the Europa League. You've got the 2 games against Sporting coming, which won't be easy.
I'd be surprised I think for the Europa League, I think he's going to play the scrubs. I don't.
But then again, so you will see Kivior, you will see, if Partey comes back fully fit, you see Jorginho there.
Rob Holding and his hair.
Rob Holding and his new hair, beautiful hair. I think Emil Smith-Rowe, those kind of guys. But it'd be very interesting to see what he does in the league, certainly on the back of those Europa League matches. But yeah, you've got more possibilities. You've got more options. You can go to back five with Kivior instead of Holding now, for example, which I think is not a bad thing. So there's a lot of things that you can do. Even in midfield, we saw Partey and Jorginho finish the game together at Leicester, for example, which I think gives you a bit more maybe defensively to protect your back four in some games. Could you even start with Partey and for example, could you start with Partey, Xhaka,
and Georgie
and put
Odegaard on the wing?
Yeah, Odegaard in the wing, for example. Or could you put Odegaard a bit closer?
I don't know that you'd want to start messing with the
but
formation
what I mean is,
at this stage.
No, of course not. But there might be some games where you go, well, let's not forget that they would have to go. So Chelsea at home is the only tough, big team home game that they have. Otherwise, they go to Newcastle, they go to City, they go to Liverpool. So they play United twice, and they play Spurs twice, which is the same for City, by the way. They play Spurs twice and United twice as well. But they've got many more home games in those big games than away games, unlike Arsenal. So maybe if you go away somewhere, you think, okay, Jorginho and Partey can start together with Odegaard, for example, or with Xhaka, and you move Odegaard. I don't know, but at least you before you didn't have those options. Now at least you've got those options.
All right, let's play a game. Impromptu. You have not prepared for this.
No.
For City and for Arsenal.
Yeah.
Give me two players, one at a time, who are the two guys who cannot or the toughest to replace if you lose them to injury or suspension at this stage.
Okay.
Two guys, all right. So I'm going to start. I'll give you my first one for City.
Yeah.
And that's Rodri. I think with Calvin Phillips, there's a massive drop off.
Yeah.
I don't know what's wrong with him, but I certainly feel like he doesn't trust them.
Yeah.
You play Gundogan there, it just becomes a different team.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. I give you Erling Haaland, of course. I mean, I have to, even if Alvarez is a really good player and has done really well, it's not the same, I think, without the Haaland factor.
Really? You put Haaland the high?
Yeah.
Ahead of De Bruyne?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not so sure there.
Yeah.
I'm not so sure there. All right. Those are our two. For Arsenal, you can go first.
I mean, the obvious one, again, a bit like Haaland, is Bukayo Saka. I think even if you have more options now, and you can play Martinelli on the right and Trossard on the left and Gabriel Jesus in the centre, Saka is special. And he's got something special, as we saw against Leicester on Wednesday. I think you lose Saka, it's even just psychologically, or even how that right-hand side works with Ben White, it's just like you would lose so much.
All right, since I have to mention somebody else, and I can't mention Gabriel Jesus because we've seen how well they've done without him.
That's true.
I'd be tempted to say Odegaard, except I think Smith-Rowe can do some Odegaard things. You can find somebody. So obviously he'd be a loss. But I think the guy who really doesn't have a replacement is Zinchenko. Kieran Tierney, great player, but very different the way he plays. We've seen a little bit of him coming inside when he's come on and stuff.
He's trying for sure,
but he does not have. He didn't grow up as a number 10.
Yeah, and Tierney doesn't give you the ball to Saka like Zinchenko did on Wednesday. No. The game.
And I think Tierney in there would mean Arteta having to really go and change a lot of things. Other things, midfield, like you said. The two deeper midfielders, you have three options for those two positions. Plus El Neni, I'm assuming, will be back at some point.
I think Saliba would be a loss because Kivior being also left-footed like Gabriel, you could play the two left-footed centre-backs, it doesn't matter. But I think overall losing Saliba would be a big blow.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN Plus.